You know what it is? It's Cuckshack. Homie, political correctness. Is this going to be the tipping point of the furry community? Let's find out. Let's go inside.
Talk about news very often. I'll admit I haven't seen all your episodes, but I've seen.
You haven't watched any of them, have you?
No, I
You
have.
watched a single one.
I have two.
Filthy.
I have.
Plebeian.
How I usually start these episodes off is a go, well, Mr. Two Gryphon, if that is your real name, if you're one pigeon or three hawks, what is your business? Like, there's a lot of people, including myself, that didn't really know who you were or what kind of position you hold in the furry community before. Oh, the controversy sneaks in. Oh, here comes the controversy. Oh, this Two Gryphon person's so problematic. You wanna...
The great Naziing.
Oh, the Nazi! How about we start off with who you actually are, and then we'll kind of dip into what people say you are. How about that? So,
Okay, sure.
what would you say your position is in the furry community?
Well, right now it would be pariah. I am senior pariah in the furry community right now at this current moment. But for a long time, for about I'd say 15 years or so, I was a stand-up comic. And I did socio-political humor, a lot of things that I saw.
Don't you mean sociopathic comedy?
I did that too.
Is that what you mean? You Nazi!
I did social humor and political humor mixed in with some fart jokes here and there, and it was a lot of fun. But then,
what happened?
Well, then one day. I was on Twitter, and
oh no, you didn't.
I did.
You didn't tweet, did you?
No,
you didn't form an opinion on the social landscape.
I wound up saying, because I'd heard about somebody who'd gotten punched in the street because they were saying something that people didn't like, and I got on Twitter and I said, violence in this country should never be an appropriate response to speech. Well, even though I didn't know it at the time, at that moment, I became a Nazi.
Oof.
Yeah, and the great Naziing began.
So this old tale about violence, is this recent or is this like years ago that you officially got controversy?
I think this was like late 2016.
Oh shit. So
yeah,
I heard little ramblings that like Anthrocon in particular doesn't like you, but they're trying to discourage you doing comedy stand-up on their convention. Is that only last year or was that earlier? Like I don't really know too much about the whole
that started
shit.
That started 2017, and they didn't just discourage me; they stage banned me.
Ooh, okay, so this is all recent then. This is why people like are getting all huffy.
Yeah,
okay.
They stage banned me, and the reason that they did was because one of what should we call them? Well, they're SJWs. You know the type. More than one of these people are actually on the board of Anthrocon.
That shocks me. I am very surprised by that statement.
Yes, I know it is as crazy as it sounds, and I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory. People out there are hearing this and are going, no! But yes.
On Cuckshack, of all places, this information coming out? No.
Yeah, it's a fact. So they heard that, and when it came time to I guess vote for me to do a show again, well, they said no because I supported free speech, and that makes me a Nazi. So
that's uncontestable. In 2018, you can't say anything that is mildly challenging anymore. It's got to be as safe as possible.
Nope. Anything you say that is the truth is hate speech. Obviously, I've learned this now. See, I didn't know this before, and now I'm learning. I'm learning as I go, and I'm trying to get better at it. Better at just being full of shit and going with my feelings instead of facts, because that's the real way to go. Now, that's how you can not be a Nazi, is doing that.
The true anti-Nazi way is censorship, tyranny, enforcing by violence. All that stuff that loving, empathetic people do.
Oh, absolutely.
Intolerance.
It's not. Listen, when it's on the left, it's not violence. It's free. That's speech. Okay.
Oh man, did you see the headline by CNN recently? They're apparently saying that Antifa is spreading love via violence. That's how it works now. Okay, that's the mental gymnastics at play to justify this shit at this point.
Well,
it was not love. It was peace. Peace via violence. Oh, okay.
There was when the whole Kavanaugh thing was going down.
Oh boy, Kavanaugh. Boy,
there were all.
It's gonna be a long episode.
Oh yeah, there were all these Hillary supporters and people from the left, and they were literally at I don't think it was the White House. It was they were at the Senate, and there was a mob of them. They were like hundreds of people. They were pounding on the doors, and they were running around in the streets and beating people. And somebody on CNN was being interviewed by that and said, this mob that's going on out there is just not. It's not something that we want. And the other CNN reporters, they're like, no, hey, let's not call this a mob. This isn't a mob.
This is a love group. They're
exactly.
spreading love with Molotovs and burning fucking trash cans and pushing shit over and breaking glass and assaulting people.
Throwing bricks through Starbucks windows and setting
bike logs through people's brains. That's sharing love.
Yeah. No, it's only a mob if it's right wing. When it's Charlottesville, then it's a mob. But if it's a left wing, if they're left wings that are setting things on fire, no, that's not a mob. That's just that's a love parade.
All the corruption is conveniently on the other side of the political spectrum.
Of course.
My side are all the Puritans. We're basically Jesus, and there is no such thing as being holier than thou. We are right. So therefore, why even debate? I already know, being an 18-year-old, that I have life figured out. There's no reason to discuss anything. No reason to challenge my existence. Let's just fuck everyone over. Let's just rip down the establishment and dismantle the hierarchy, and everything's a social construct, and we should just fucking burn it all down, because that's really going to work out. We have history to look at for that.
That's
socialism. Hooray!
That's one thing I love about Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you've heard of him.
The proclivity to know Jordan Peterson.
I loved his whole clean your room segment.
Clean your room.
Yeah, I really loved that, because it made a lot of sense. It's like, okay, you're 19 years old, and you're out there marching in the world for, because you want economic change or you want political change. He's like, there are grown adults that don't fully comprehend how the economy works and how politics work, and you're 19. You can't even clean up your room. It's like, first clean up your room. If you can clean up your room, then maybe you can start to put yourself together and know what's going on. But you're a 19-year-old, can't clean up your room, and you think you know what's best for the economy right now. It's like, no, clean up your damn room first.
Yeah, it's like, on what authority do you have to tell other people how to live their lives? The whole point of the right, and which is why it's becoming more appealing, conservative types, even though I'm a classical liberal myself, is that they understand the concept of live and let live. They're kind of like, the only rights we want are the rights to liberty, the rights to freedom, the rights to live as an American. Yeah. As long as you just let us do that, we'll leave you alone. We want to secure our borders, because they're not against immigration, they're against illegal immigration. So people just kind of invading and just ruining everything because they want to escape their own third world country socialist environments, and they just want to bring that to the first world countries that support capitalism.
Well, that caravan that's coming up here. I have a lot of questions about that, and I've been pondering making a video about that, because they came from most of them. It started in Honduras, and their idea was, okay, it's really bad in Honduras. There's a lot of gang violence, and I can't feed my family because I can't get a job, so I want to escape this. And so they got together and they started marching, and they went into Guatemala. Okay, there they are. Now they're in Guatemala. They have escaped it. Ta-da! You're in a different country. But that's not enough. So they keep going, and this is such a thumbing their nose at America move, because they're walking all the way through Mexico. They're in Mexico now. Why? They've really escaped it at this point, but no, that's not good enough. They want
Mexico's even offering asylum to try and help America.
Yeah,
they don't want asylum. They just want the American way of life, which is capitalistic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they want to go across the border just to thumb their nose at Donald Trump. Is what they're trying to do. Now,
all the while they're doing it, they're also waving the Guatemalan flag.
Yeah, I know. And Ben Shapiro had a really good point on that. It's like, when his grandparents, escaped the Nazi regime, they didn't come in, waving, Russian flags. If it's such a terrible country, why are you coming and waving the flag of the country that you were trying to escape? That doesn't make sense.
I love the guy that happens to have like legit Jewish ancestry that have been like, at victim to actual Nazis is the Nazi of 2018.
Of course.
I can't listen to Ben Shapiro. He is a Nazi.
Well, now I want to say, I want to be, and I have to be clear about this anymore, or otherwise people will totally, they'll completely misunderstand. I don't like Donald Trump. I mean, there's maybe one or two things he's done that I think were a really good idea. Most of the things he's done I don't really like, but I also want to say that is he the end of the damn world? No, he's a bad president. I think that there's a lot of people right now, younger people, who are just coming into this consciousness of political ideas. And this is the first time, because before that was 8 years of Obama, this is the first time that they've ever been told no, that they've ever found a president that wasn't so great. And so they think this is the end of the world. I've lived through tons of shitty presidents. And Trump is not the end of the world. It's not. He's going to do his things. He's going to leave. Then a Democrat will probably come in and reverse everything he did. And then a Republican will come in and reverse everything that president did. And
all it takes is basic history. If you look at the pattern of American politics, it's two terms, two terms, two terms.
Absolutely,
two terms.
Yeah.
We've had 2 terms of Obama. You're going to get a fucking Republican, because when you ever have someone in too long, everything goes to shit.
Yep.
Everyone gets too left or right, so you got to get the center of it. Little bitches.
Okay, that needs to be remixed.
It wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. Don't even bother and try. Yeah, like...
It needs to remix it.
It is history.
Guys, remix that. You got to remix that.
Same thing is happening in the this is becoming a very fucking political episode, but yeah, the same thing that happened with the EU. It became a super government, too much control, too much fucking mandling in people's business. Britain leaves because they want to be a free, independent country again.
Yeah.
Too many left-wing politics for 8 years. People are gonna be aching for some independence again. Shoving it down their throats is gonna make more Republicans. I try and tell people. What do you think I'm doing? I'm not... If I was a young idiot, which I used to be, I would just shove my opinions down people's throats. But if you actually want to influence people to vote for you, you have to, compel them, actually, empathize and accurately depict their stances before they'll listen to yours. So if you fail that very important first step of accurately, you have to understand what they're saying. There's a common test, both sides too. You have conservatives and liberals. The challenge is to speak on behalf as if you were the other side. Most of the time, the conservatives do a really good job of representing the liberals' views because they used to be liberals when they were younger, but the liberals fail to do the opposite. It's always, I love Hitler. I hate everything bad in the world. I want everyone to die, and I'm selfish. I'm ignorant. I'm stupid. I'm fat and I'm white.
Yeah. Well,
vote for me.
The problem isn't that they say, and they do this a lot. It's like, Nazis are bad. It's like, okay, if they left it with that statement, it'd be like, all right, totally agree with that. But then they go on to say, everybody who isn't me is a Nazi. It's like, now wait, whoa, hold up.
Whoa, you just demonized 80% of the population.
Yeah,
you want to keep going with that? All men are Nazi. All men are evil. All right, well, that's another 60%. What else? Okay, we got all white people are bad. All right, that's majority of...
yeah.
Because, America is a European country. You're going to have a lot of white people in the country. It's not a good idea to call them all pieces of shit. That's not how you get voters.
And the UK right now, they're doing some crazy thing. It's like, okay, we got this on the table. Some of us want to leave the EU, some of us don't. So we'll vote on it. And people voted on it. And the majority of people, by far, by the way, said, yeah, let's leave. And then the toddlers came out and started throwing tantrums in the street.
Do it again. It wasn't a real vote.
And so the UK says, some people didn't like that, so let's vote again. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not the way this works.
That's not democracy. You can't just let's elect the president. Wait, I didn't get the president I wanted. Do it again.
Yeah, you can't just keep re-voting on something until you listen out your window and there's no babies crying in the street. You can't do that. That's not the way it works.
It's like you said, people just don't know how to not get their way. That's why there's still people rioting and protesting 2 years after they lost.
Exactly.
And like, sadly, the midterms, more politics, it's really looking like the Republicans are going to win because the favor for the left has just dropped dramatically with all this dumb shit going on.
Yeah. Yeah, all this dumb shit. Well, it started with the Kavanaugh shit, and then
that was really bad for left. Yeah, like really
with this
bad.
Bomber shit. Well, it's now I'm a libertarian. I'm left.
Yeah, join the club, but we're both Nazis.
But we're both Nazis somehow. But I would say that the far left has contributed more to people wanting to move to the right than anything else. Because
100% agree.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this on your show, and I probably shouldn't because I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for it. But I'm gonna say it anyway. No! It's so controversial. It's so controversial. You will not even. $7 buys you the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Think of the children.
No, right now, currently, I'm very heavily considering voting Republican in a lot of races and a lot of issues going on that in the midterms, and the reason why is because when I look at the right, okay, yeah, some of them there's some dumb shit mistakes that they're making big time, but when I look at the left, those guys for the last 2 years, they've really shown they have shown their true colors, and they're pointing at everybody because they lost, and they're calling them Nazis, and they're using violence to try and get their way. That's terrorist tactics.
Yeah, they're trying to break down democracy just because they didn't win.
Exactly. And the way they've been acting, I have to ask myself, okay, who do I want running the government? Do I want some dumb shit, reality star show who couldn't find his ass with a map and a flashlight, or do I want it to be controlled by these people who I mean, imagine this scenario. Imagine one day you go to the grocery store and you get some groceries and you slip your card through and it says denied. And even though you've got money. You come home and you find out that your card has been shut down because you said something online that someone in Silicon Valley thought was hate speech. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about, this left being in charge right now.
I don't say the wrong pronoun to the cashier and then you get arrested.
Say the wrong pronoun to the cashier, you get arrested. Anything could be hate speech. Anybody could just point at you, make any accusation whatsoever, and you are guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, now it's valid because due process, fuck that. Because even if someone isn't a rapist, they're a rapist because they hurt my feelings.
Well, believe the victim, right? Yep. Believe the victim. It doesn't matter.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah, exactly. And I would honestly rather see the United States nuked off the face of the earth than to have that kind of government in charge.
Well, we already see that kind of government, and it's shit. Yeah. That's
when's
the last time you saw a caravan of American socialists marching all the way down to Venezuela?
Exactly. I mean that doesn't happen. I mean I'm more of I may be a libertarian and I may be on the left, but I'm still that kind of I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees kind of guy.
Oh yeah, like I would rather live in poverty and have my freedom than to be rich and not be able to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where I stand on all that. And I am sorry that that this got all political right from the beginning.
Man, I'm sure people are on the edge of their seats. Like, juicy politics with the two worst Nazis in the furry community.
Yeah. I'm sure Dogpatch Press is listening to every word so that they can manage to find out exactly the phrase they can cut out to make me look like an asshole.
Yeah, we'll see what Reich we are on the hierarchy of Hitler. I'm about Third Reich. You're about Fourth Reich. We're all just evil.
Fourth, fifth. There's some kind of Reich. It's some level of Reichishness that we have.
God, it's fucking stupid these days. Do you think that the furry community is going in a good direction overall right now with politics and all that? Do you think it's too political? Do you think efforts need to be made to make it less political, or do you think it just needs to be more bipartisan? What do you feel?
I think that right now the furry fandom is Well, okay, I don't think there really is a furry fandom anymore. And I'll explain that. When you have a fandom, that fandom is based on a certain thing. On a certain thing that you are. If you're in the Star Trek fandom, that means that you are a Star Trek fan. Are you a Star Trek fan? Yes, then you are part of the Star Trek fandom. But now, you show up to the furry fandom, and the first question isn't, are you a furry? It doesn't matter if you're a furry or not. The first question is, who'd you vote for?
Who did you vote for?
Yeah. So
it.
That's not a furry fandom. That's a political fandom. And so I don't think it's gone in a good direction at all, and I don't know if it's going to reverse and come back. I honestly think that perhaps, and I don't know all the answers, but I would guess that at this point, perhaps the best thing would be for there to be a split off for people, who consider themselves to be furries, to go over to somewhere else and say, okay, we're going to start our own group and or our own convention, our own meetup, whatever. And politics are not a thing over here. It doesn't matter what politics you have. If you're a furry, you're in. If you're not, then you're not. And I think that may be the way it goes. I can already start to see elements of that happening already.
I mean, shit, like, I consider myself one of the more, like, how can I say this? Like, I've had all sorts of personalities on this podcast, and I've been very open-minded and courteous, and, like, I've had the starry-eyed thing where I look up to everyone in the community as, like, idols and fantastic individuals that must have, like, a plethora of, like, wealth and knowledge that they're going to breed onto the next generation, but mostly it's just people. And I feel that conventions these days are very self-fellatiating. Like, it's all about you're either already in to what it represents, or you're not really going to get invested at all, and you're never going to get a foot in the door.
No. Well, it became about... and this actually rubbed off, because we're in this society right now, and this isn't just the furry fandom, this is just a reflection of Western society. And, furries are just a small section of Western society. So it affects us too, but this is a society of virtue signaling. So it doesn't matter what people believe. And I've seen people say things that I know they don't actually believe. But it's the virtuous thing to say, so they'll say it. Even though you know that it's not, that's nobody could believe that. But they say it anyway.
That's the sad truth, is that it's about 10% of the virtue signals, and the other 90%, like, they've had interviews and stuff like that. They're just kind of there to fit in. It's like, do you support the thing you're holding up? It's like, I don't even know what I'm holding up. I'm just doing it because someone gave me a sign.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed that furry conventions, at least in the U.S., some of them in Europe, have started to adopt this virtue signaling thing. The conventions themselves, they're starting to base their programming and who gets stage time and who does not, based on virtue signaling.
What lost me was when, like, the mainstream furry community started adopting this whole, like, punch a Nazi shit.
Yeah,
that lost me. Like, I was done at that point. It's like, no, man, I'm not going to a convention where kids could possibly walk past furries that just a couple of years ago have already been banned from hotels for, like, throwing their shit everywhere and just being complete degenerates, to now also saying that whoever, like, disagrees with them, they are borderline assaulting those people, or at least going to harass them in public.
Yeah, or
like, come on.
And telling other people to do the same thing.
Yep, and if you don't, then you're not welcome here. It's like, what happened? Like, obviously you just explained it, it's virtue signaling, but how did we devolve this far where you'd think by now we'd have some kind of sense of, like, conscientiousness around other people? Are we that, like, self-absorbed and stuck in our own little fantasies that we're just separated from, like, reality now?
Well,
is that how far we've fallen?
It happened very quickly, like within the last 2 or 3 years.
It's 2 years because they lost the election. That's the whole thing.
Well, and that really started. I mean, I know people who, very young people like, in their mid-20s, sometimes a little younger, that come to me and they talk to me about, reminiscing about the good old days of the fandom when this shit didn't happen, and I'm like, wow, that it really wasn't that long ago when furries were just being furries, and suddenly now you go to a convention and they're passing out Antifa propaganda, and they're telling people that they have to punch Nazis. And who's a Nazi? Everybody that you don't like. That's
anyone not wearing the badge.
Anyone not wearing this badge or carrying this paper around is a Nazi, and you got to punch them. And the furries were they're the last people that I thought would be like publicly and in mass advocating violence. They're the last people.
This is the tragic thing too, is that I feel like a lot of furries joined this community because they didn't fit in school, and they were bullied and they were ostracized and they were considered like the outcast kid, the socially awkward kid. They don't belong to any group. So then we finally make this community of people that are warm and collective, like anyone can join, because we're all, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter what race you are, what sex you are, what age you are. All that matters is that you want to make friends. You can be anything you want. To be a dragon, you can be whatever, a wolf, and you just have fun.
Yeah.
And then it just turns into high school again. It's like now they are the people bullying other people. It's like all they were waiting for is the opportunity to do the exact thing that they criticize others of doing, and all they needed was the power switch.
Exactly. And that is, I've always found that, to be honest, I'm going to use the word disgusting here. I've always found it disgusting when people who have been terrorized or bullied with things like, violence or words or accusations or anything like that, once they get the power to do the same thing, they turn around and they do that to other people. That's horrible. And
the sad truth is that I feel like you've described virtual signaling in a nutshell. It feels like people are on an all-out war against white people to try and make them the minority in America so that they can now discriminate against them.
I actually, and I was wrong about this, by the way. I want to say that I was wrong about this. I made a prediction. Usually my predictions have come true over the years because I've been doing shows and podcasts and stuff like that for about 2 decades now. And one prediction that I had once, and it was just a discussion between me and someone else, and I said that if black people had the same power at the same time that white people had it back in the day, they would have made the white people the slaves. They would have done the same thing that white people was. Now, I was wrong about that. The reason I was wrong about that is because right now, that same thing is happening, but it's white people. It's other white people who are doing it. It's white people who are slapping their hand over the mouths of minorities and saying, "You shut up, I'll speak for you." And they're telling everybody else what is offending them, what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear, and how you should treat them. So it's still just minority repression. It's just being done by rich white college kids right now who are trying to think that they're doing it for virtuous reasons.
Yeah,
even though
I feel like it's the exact same type of mentality that introduced slavery in the first place.
It is.
Same people.
It is. It pretty much is. I mean, honestly, in my personal view, I mean, I don't see anybody as any, well, I don't want to say as any different. I don't look at...
I think what you're trying to say is you don't see the world through that lens.
I don't see the world through that lens. How did I turn to The Godfather? I don't know how that happened. I don't see the world through that lens.
I see people in shades of gray, so they're either smart or they're an NPC.
People in shades of gray. You never come to my house and there are people with shades of gray, and you never talk to my mother. Now you're gonna ask me a favor? You're gonna ask me a favor now? No, I just I don't see anyone. I don't see any race as being any more or less valuable, as anyone else. And honestly, I don't think that right now minorities, I don't think they need white people's help. I think what they need is they need to be given the same opportunities, the same rights, and they need to be let on their own to actually do what they can do. and go and do the magic. They just like give them the same things that white people have, and give them the same thing, the rights that white people have, and then let them shine. We don't need to.
That starts an interesting conversation of itself, because then it says, all right, what do white people have that they don't have right now already? Because we already have things in place that deduct points if you're Asian, because Asians are too good at school, because their culture is surrounded by the sense of working really hard and getting educated. So naturally, if you have a high culture bias towards doing well in school, you do well in school. So then their points need to be deducted down to be the same average as white people. I believe white people need to be deducted a little. I'm not sure about the white people thing, but I definitely know that they discriminate based on skin color right now to hire more black and Hispanic doctors and stuff, even if their final scores, aren't actually equivalent.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
so they're saying by proxy that black and Hispanic people's, like, they can't be held to the same standard. They need a favor because they can't do it based on the merits of their own qualifications.
Precisely. I mean, if you're the manager, the owner of a business, and you're looking through applications for somebody who's wanting to be hired, well, you can look through it and you can find the best one for the job. You can find the one that's most qualified, that has the most experience, and say, I want this one. And then somebody from the government is going to come and say, you can't have that one. Why not? Well, because he's white.
They're white.
Because they're white.
Yep.
You got to pick somebody else. Now,
diversity hires.
Yeah.
So this is the whole equality of outcome thing. So the whole idea is it's not based anything about your performance or your ability as an individual.
Yeah.
It's all about your group. So just on the sheer fact that you're a Hispanic, you should be a doctor even if you can't even handle it.
Yeah. Well, there is what we're talking about is the difference between equality and equity.
Mm-hmm.
Equality is giving everybody the same. It's like giving everybody the same set of Legos and saying, okay, make the best thing you can make. But equity is when you look at somebody and you're seeing that they can't make something as good as everybody else, so you give them more blocks.
Mm-hmm. It's everyone's a winner mentality. So you have a bunch of kids running in a race, and you push the fat kids to go faster than the other ones.
It's a participation award.
And you tie rocks around the fast kids to make sure
sure they can't.
So everyone wins. It's like, well, when everyone wins, no one wins. That's why they love communism and socialism so much, because they want everyone, like the whole thing, to be 50-50. It's like, all right, well, you're not going to have anyone that strives to be better than average. You're going to have people that just milk the system for money and barely work at all because it doesn't matter, your performance or anything regarding you at all. The individual no longer matters at all. It's just all groups.
Well, and I've always wondered about that, because if you think about this, there are people out there that are in a wheelchair because they're paralyzed. They can't walk. There are people that can't see because they're blind. There are people that can't hear because they're deaf. Now, should we be forced to make the rest of society, roll around in a wheelchair, cover up their ears, and put a blindfold on, because that's just to make everything equal? What? We don't do that.
I've got a sad truth for you. They're already trying to do that in Toronto and stuff. They have universities right now where you can't clap because it's ableist.
Oh,
you are offending. Yep, I'm sorry. You're offending people that are deaf, and I believe it's also blind too. But I don't see how doing jazz hands, like that's their solution is jazz hands, right?
Oh god. Well,
so
some people can't do jazz hands.
Yeah, well, what about the people that don't have hands? So let's just all sit there and blink like good NPCs. Let's just not emote.
Exactly.
How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody can do anything that Stephen Hawking couldn't do. That's what we're gonna turn it into. It's like, no, God.
That sounds really good for a country. Just have everyone so average or below average.
That just hurts.
We're really
gonna
get ahead.
That hurts my soul. Oh,
like
God.
it's just a culture of people absolutely afraid of offending anyone. But there is an old adage that, good old Jordan Peterson said this one, in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. And it's true. Like, if you want to do absolutely anything in life, if you want to be in the capitalistic system, this is why so many people come to me and say, how come you got popular? How come you seem to be making money and you seem to be doing things so well? How come you have a relationship? How come you're getting all these great gifts in life? It's like, because I dared to break out of the norm and I'm doing something different. I took risks.
Yeah.
Just do it.
By the way, that I gotta say, that was a fairly good American accent you just did.
Well, I took risks. Risks. Yeah, Kate just came home, so give the dogs like a couple of minutes to calm the fuck down.
Okay. So, just wanted to let everybody know that Noodle says hello.
Oh, is that like your cat?
Close. Try again.
Iguana?
Closer.
Parrot.
No.
I give up. It's definitely
hold
not a dog.
It's my snake. It's my python.
Fuck.
Yeah. I have a python. His name is Noodle, and he says he loves everybody. So he says hello.
Alright, we're back in Cuckshack. Just a short intermission while we open the door. Alright, where were we? We're talking about how racist we were and how we hate everyone.
Yes, exactly. And about how...
Yeah, we're talking...
Yeah, about how
the
only reason to
God,
vote for
bad at
Trump
this.
is if you're a racist, obviously.
Yeah, and we're saying that in order to, like, if you want to get ahead in life, you do have to step out of the mold just a little bit. That's what competition is. That's kind of something you have to learn, is that to get ahead, you have to actually be ahead. You can't just be holding hands with everyone at your side all the time, otherwise you just blend in and you don't get any kind of advantage.
I tend to think that this all started in my kind of generation when I was growing up, because
Back in my day.
back in my day, I used to actually. It was a thing where I remember parents they were just starting to do this. If their kid didn't win a race, they'd complain about it. Now, it took maybe more than 20 years for this to catch up, but I'm guessing that, when a kid tried their best and they didn't win a race, or when a kid didn't try at all and they didn't win a race, that makes them feel bad because somebody did, quote unquote, better than they did. Now, I guess they started thinking, well, nobody should make my kid feel bad because they did better than he did, so let's stop letting other people win.
And start giving out participation trophies.
Exactly.
For just fucking showing up at all and doing nothing.
Well, here's I think the danger of that. I was not athletic. I was not very athletic, and when I was growing up, I wasn't very good at races. I wasn't very good at football, and I tried. I went out for sports, and I wasn't terribly good at it. And so because other people kept winning and I wasn't winning in sports, well, I went, okay, in that case, I need to try something different because this isn't me. I'm not doing very well at this. So I went and found something that I was good at, that I exceeded at. And at the time, that was music. So I'm wondering what really is happening to kids now because of the participation medals.
Kids these days.
Yeah, I think that, if somebody's whooping you all the time, doing something that you're like winning races or something like that, and they're beating the crap out of you all the time, then you tend to want to go, okay, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do something that I exceed at. But now that nobody gets to win, well, people aren't really winding up doing what they exceed at, what they're best at.
And people stop trying, too.
Yeah.
So why put in 110% when 51% is enough to beat everyone that is just trying to, like, not upset anyone else?
Exactly. It's one of those things. I'm kind of worried about, about society in that way, in that people are simply, they're not being driven to find what they excel at, because if they're going to win at anything that they do, then why actually find your niche? Why actually go out and find the thing that you're good at, that you're best at, and do that? And
they never get, like, properly educated on what failure is, so they often experiment it in a way that they're not prepared for, without their family around, without their support group. It just hits them in the face from, like, real life. Exactly.
Yeah, it's when everybody, and like you said earlier, when everybody wins, no one does. It's like, it reminds me of that line from The Incredibles. When everyone's super, no one is. And
yeah, I mean, it's true, and that's why that whole, like, censorship thing is so dumb. It's like, oh, well, you can't say XYZ because that's offensive to XYZ group. And you can't do this because you're XYZ skin color, and you can't do this too well because you make too much money, and this person should get more of it because they don't make money. It's like, well, at the end of the day, all you're incentivizing is just like absolutely no variation in their water at all. It's just completely calm. And what kind of life is that?
Well, and that's I kind of attribute that to the whole Trump phenomenon, because that is how people have been raised. There's a whole generation of people who were raised from birth all the way through colleges, which I now consider to be daycare centers, and they were never told no. Their feelings were always catered to. Nobody could they couldn't lose. Nobody could exceed them. They weren't allowed to fail. And then then Trump got voted in, and this was the very first time that they experienced loss.
This is the first time they've lost something.
This is the first time we lost.
Their entire lives they've been told that they're winners. It's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, well actually you're a big fucking loser, and they can't accept that reality.
Yeah, no, and it was just something completely unfamiliar to them, because they didn't know what's this feeling that I'm feeling. It's loss. What? I don't know this. I've always been winning at everything because everybody lets me win. But now
I don't like the system. Burn it down. I can't have it.
Yeah, burn it down. Just set the universities on fire because I lost something. Burn it. Your princess and your president is in another fucking castle. And yeah, it's. I really think that's what happened there, was that you had a generation of people who'd never lost, who've never had a problem in their life, and now suddenly they've been told no, and they can't handle it. So they're just crying about it for years and years and years.
The sad thing is that if they just kind of got their skin just a little bit thicker, more people would be empathetic. But because they've been throwing a tantrum and get a worsening tantrum for 2 years straight, people are fed up with it. I released the results of a U.S. study recently that showed that 80% of Americans are sick of political correctness.
Yes,
they're done with it.
Yes, and I read that study myself, and that's true. It's funny because to look online, to look on social media, if anybody's on Facebook, if anybody's on Twitter, it appears that everybody is all into this political correctness, but the fact is, just the noisiest small group is really.
Yeah, they're just loud.
Yeah, they're
loud,
just
never
very
shut up.
loud. Everybody else, and I think the numbers I read were 75 to 80%, something like that. But the vast majority of Americans are just sick. They're sick and tired of political correctness. They don't want it anymore. They don't care about it. They just want to live their lives. They want to be able to say what they want to, and they want to move on past this bullshit.
It's exhausting.
It is.
You don't want to just see how fucking it's a very, very negative outlook on the world. Every day it's like, this is terrible. You're terrible. This is terrible. You're terrible. They're terrible. Tell them how terrible they are. It's like, why do you think that these demographics have such high depression rates? It's fucking exhausting.
It is. It's terribly exhausting. It's like you pop out and it's like, I just added some milk to my cornflakes this morning, and before you could even finish that sentence,
oh man,
Nazi,
I'm sorry, but
Nazi because milk.
Yep, milk is fucking racist. Drink soy milk.
Yeah, milk is
soy
racist.
is the future.
Oh God, and that
soy or go home, man.
Yeah, and
I don't appreciate you calling me a soy boy because I'm actually female. I'm a cis, multi-gendered, hyper fucking megafox.
How dare you assume my diet? Oh man. Oh.
But yeah, I'm optimistic. That's the sad part, is that optimistics are being shunned. If you're optimistic about the future, if you're actually supportive of America, if you believe that people are inherently good, then you're a bad person now. And I'm just gonna stick with that, because I do think that if we just stop coddling everyone and return to individuals, responsibility, accountability, credibility, actually rewarding people when they do the right thing and try hard at life and succeed. If we reward success again, then we'll go back to actually being a productive society rather than just a miserable pile of shit.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't Sure, we had a few little things to complain about here and there. I mean, I guess we didn't think they were little back then, but compared to now, yeah, they were small things. Now we've got we got a real problem now.
Well, that's the thing. We can't productively solve these issues, even if they are issues, if we can't even talk to the people on the political spectrum.
Exactly.
You
And
need to cooperate with these people.
and you can't talk to them. I mean, I was stage banned from a convention because I heard about this chat room, and this was supposed to be a Nazi white supremacist chat room.
Mm-hmm.
And all, of course, the people that were saying it were the people that call everyone a Nazi. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to find out. I'm going to, talk to the people in there, find out what they're about, and I'm going to make a video about it. And so I went in there, and I started talking to people, and simply by me being in there,
Simply by talking to the enemy.
yeah, simply by going into this chat room, I was stage banned from a convention just for being in there.
And yet, these, saints, these virtue singling saints, these gods among men, think it's their authority as human beings to say that every single person that even has a sparkle of right-wing interest has to be a Nazi, and they are not welcome in this furry community because Ferrofini, obviously, you were banned from. Have you been banned from FA United?
Not that I
Or
know
just
of.
AC so far?
Not that
but
I
yeah,
know of.
that they're all connected. It's all the same shit. The reason why this rings a bell for me because FA's been doing this the same thing. Dragonair's gone full on SJW mode.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah. Anyone they've already tried to do it to me 5 times. There's people posing on me as Telegram. There's people posing as me in all sorts of places, trying to say, "Look at me, I'm Jasonafex. I'm a Nazi. I love Hitler and shit." And then like you said, all these supposed alt-right talking groups and all that. People have come to me and say, "Hey, this is the actual chat logs that they're trying to say that I am an alt-right this or that," and it's just people that are moderate, just talking.
Yeah.
And so it's just showing me that they've had a complete mental shutdown on political discussion that is anywhere beyond the 8% on the far left, and everyone else can go fuck themselves.
Well, here's the deal, and this is something I've learned from my ventures in business, and a little bit in politics, and that is, if you want to know why something's going on, if you want to know why something is happening, follow the money, especially when it comes to a business, Fur Affinity is a business. Follow the money. Google is a business. Follow the money. Where's the money coming from? Right now, the money is coming from rich, white, college students. They've got mommy and daddy's credit card, and they pretty much have an endless spending, limit. They can spend whatever they want to. So it's just a good business model right now to actually cater to these left-wing hate mobs, because that's where the money's coming from.
I mean, it's true. And there's another saying with my whole free speech shit. If you want to find out who controls you, find out who you cannot criticize.
Yep.
So if you just start being outspoken and people start attacking you and start trying to censor you, you realize that these interest groups have more involvement in your platform than you think.
Exactly. It's depressing. It really is. It depresses me. It depresses my soul. I've being as Halloween is coming around. I wanted to talk.
There's nothing scarier than the midterms. Ooh.
Well, I wanted to talk about skeletons. But, skeletons are very they're very Halloween. But I'm afraid to do that, because if I talk about skeletons, then people are gonna say that I'm dead hating. That I'm.
People are getting their child skeletons banned now because apparently that's child porn or just offensive. You can't depict children as skeletons or something, so you can't sell miniature skeletons.
Children
stupid.
don't have skeletons. They don't have skeletons yet. It takes only right wingers, only adult right wingers have skeletons. So those are the only ones that you can really show. But outside of that, you can't talk about skeletons. You can't talk about ghosts. because you're dead shaming.
You can't wear costumes. You can't wear like any kind of cultural appropriation. So just ban 90% of all costumes that could possibly offend someone. We'll just all go to Halloween as a collective of yellow sponges.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm very bald. 1 year, it was 2 years ago. I went to a small furry meet up, and I was I had a costume. I wore a suit with a nice tie, and I put a barcode on the back of my head.
You did it.
I did.
You're a hitman.
I totally
How
did.
dare you?
I was. It's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. People were like, "Oh my God, you're dressing up as a murderer. He murders people, and you're dressing up as someone who murders someone." It's like, oh God.
Yeah. Say goodbye to Freddy Krueger, Jason, fucking every single Halloween villain since the dawn of time.
And I'm just sitting there, just like, please suck me, please suck me till the bed sheets go up my ass, please. I can't possibly have any more disdain for people. It's like, come on, it's a Halloween costume. Just relax. You know, I don't
like. The sad part is that we shouldn't even be fucking having this conversation in 2018. Like, how far
I wish
has
we
society
didn't
fallen?
have to.
Like, are we gonna look back at this in 5 years and go, "Wow, that was a really shitty time to live," when people were fucking like insecure as fuck?
I wish we didn't have to. In fact, but before the show is over, we should talk about something not politics. We should talk about something stupid.
Oh, I always leave like the last like 5 minutes. Like, all right, let's talk about something.
It's not about something stupid. You know, it's just something dumb. I want to talk about something that we could just, you know, gig on and just be happy about, because, oh man.
How about this little pleasant nugget? What would you say was your most like interesting / funny experience that you've had at a convention back in the good old days?
Oh my God, that is so hard. Do you know how many conventions I've been to?
Roll the dice and pick one.
Oh God, funny or interesting?
Oh, it takes me back.
God, I'm trying to. Okay, there was Tumbles the Dragon.
Oh wait, is that the same Stumbles that was end up like putting in the Room Party card game?
No,
like the notorious Stumbles the Dragon.
No, Tumbles.
It's like orange.
Tumbles.
Yeah, it might be
Tumbles the Dragon. Yeah, I was there for that. In fact, that year I was on security. I was on staff, and I was on security for that convention when Tumbles the Dragon happened. I was in my room, and I was sleeping because my shift was over and I wanted to get some rest. I get a call on the radio, and this was not like any other call that we've gotten so far. It's like, we need all security down here now. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? So we run downstairs, and yeah, have you ever seen these stairs that are like, oh gosh, they got to be like 4 or 5 feet long, and each step is, just maybe a foot down. They're just these little thin stairs that are really long, right? Well,
so these kind of stairs where like you could kind of clear like 3 in one step.
Well,
or are you talking about like so big that you kind of have to like do a kind of like incline job?
If you're lucky, you could. Yeah, they're just these little. They're very small step ups, and then like 3 or 4 steps to the next step, and just another little step up. We had a guy, and he apparently he got like drunk, and then took some drugs or something, and they got all depressed, and
as usual,
and then he decided he wanted to kill himself. Now there was a parking garage, a 7-story parking garage right next to the thing, right next to the hotel. I don't know why he didn't just throw himself off that, but he didn't. He just he took.
So did he fall down these stairs intentionally?
Yeah, he took this running start, and he jumped. He probably cleared 3 stairs, and then just sort of tumbled down the rest of them. Which these are tiny little stairs.
It's not a very good way to kill yourself. Was he in fursuit or just like regular dude?
He didn't even break any bones. They sent him to the ER, and he had some bruises and a few other things. But it was definitely a cry for help thing. But the thing is that he wasn't even a dragon. He was a husky. But people started calling him Tumbles the Dragon because it just sounded so good. But the guy went on. I mean, he lived, obviously, and if it had been me, I would have milked that attention. You know, I would have started a vlog or done something, and just used that attention to actually say, okay, hey, let's go with this, and have a voice. But then he got
that's the evil capitalism coming out of you, though.
But I mean he could have actually done something that might have made people happy or entertained people. But anytime somebody brought that up, he got all offended and shit like that, and he just kind of left. And that's a shame because. But yeah, Tumbles the Dragon was an interesting moment.
What do you think will be the token stereotypes and personalities? Like, let's say, like, we obviously had the previous generation of like furry card games, as I said. Do you reckon that the deck is stacked for the last 5 years for like noticeable personality stuff, or do you think it's just going to be flooded with racists? Like, are you and me going to be in there? Like, oh, look, these evil racist Nazi furries.
We're going to be evil. We're going to be totally. I think that seeing as it's Cards Against Humanity, I think Cards Against Humanity is going to get more offensive in response to PC, because that's what Cards Against Humanity does. But I definitely think that Majira is going to be in there somewhere.
Oh yeah,
I'm already in there.
See, what I find fascinating is I'm just trying to imagine where these kids are going to be, like, in half a decade. Are they going to suddenly, like, turn around to fit in with us? Is that what's going to happen? Like, do you see that happening, or do you think they're just going to double down forever?
Oh, no. I mean, what happens all the time with kids is when you raise them, when they have parents that are staunchly for or like, religiously sort of dedicated to an idea, the kids always turn out completely against that. They want to do exactly what their parents don't want them to do. And the moment they get the freedom to do that, that's what they're going to do. So I think that all these SJWs, these outspoken, identity politics people, I think their kids are going to grow up and not want to be anything like them. So, it's a generational thing. It always happens.
Especially the more more authoritarian the ideology is too.
Yeah.
So, like, this is obviously a very authoritarian ideology.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you had an SJW teacher, they really ring down your throat. Like, if you're a white kid in that classroom, oh boy.
Oh, you're in trouble at that point. But
did you see that poster where it's like a checklist of all the privileges that you need to check if you're white and like ableist and all these things, and you speak English natively before you enter the classroom because you might offend someone?
Yeah, I took that. I actually took one of those white privilege tests, and I actually passed it. I apparently I don't have any white privilege, even though I'm whiter than a goddamn sheep. I apparently I passed it.
I'll just do what Elizabeth Warren's doing and say that I'm 1028th Indian or something.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, people are, and why not? If people can identify themselves as whatever they want, why not be able to identify yourself as a Native American or a black person if that's what
I'm actually a 37-year-old black woman right now. I've decided that is my spirit animal. I am now oppressed just because I feel like it.
I have decided that I am a weaponized battle toaster. That is my gender, and don't you dare diss my gender, because otherwise, well, in New York and parts of Canada, you could go to jail if you do that.
I'm actually an omega being beyond time and space. I'm ethereal. Sometimes I in reality, and sometimes I am wafting through the dimensions of the multiverse.
Well, we are a pair. You know, I wonder if there are any furries out there that are doing that right now. It's like officially identifying as their characters. Was that?
Oh, I bet. There's so many people detached from me. Like, there's people that legit believe that if you put something to paper, you must do it in real life. So if you write an adult comic, or you draw something controversial, or if you like, it's the same kind of mentality as saying, oh, people that watch violent movies or play violent video games, oh, they're gonna shoot someone in real life.
God.
They exist. They're out there.
Yeah, I know. Well, but I mean, think about it. If you can identify as anything you want just by saying you identify as it, and somebody identifies as, say, a kangaroo.
Oh man, could you imagine a cop pulling someone over? License and registration, please.
Well,
sure thing, officer. Kangaroo.
What if that kangaroo decides to go out and murder someone? You don't arrest a kangaroo for murdering someone. It's just they're just being an animal, right?
What if that person fucks a real kangaroo? Is that bestiality or just nature taking place?
There you go. Exactly. It would just be nature. It would just be the way, yeah.
But nature's a social construct, and everything else is, and everything is a fraud, and don't believe anything.
Yeah, the cops could drive up while you're, fucking a horse and be like, stop, you can't do that. It's like, it's against the law. And you'd be like, hey, I identify as a horse. Okay. So
I'll just say the police system is a social construct and speed away.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
What else is positive to say?
I'm trying to think.
Positive stories.
Well, it's this whole show has been so far just us trying to make positive things out of negative things, which honestly,
well, you can only take so many bites out of a shit sandwich. That's the thing.
I know, but I actually like doing that. I mean that was the whole premise behind the 2 Cent Show, was taking negative news and trying to make you smile over it and make it funny so that, people could laugh at bad news instead of just feeling bad about it.
I'll try this. I will try and empathize with the SJW viewpoint, and I'll try and list one positive.
Okay.
You might have to give me a minute.
It's just like, hang on, I got this. Wait, it's coming.
I'm gonna
coming.
Spin this the best way I can. They have good intentions.
I think they do.
And I think I'm done.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I genuinely believe that the majority of them aren't actually trying to do harm. They just don't understand how the world works.
Well, no, but the majority of Nazis were not actually trying to do harm. They didn't. They thought they were the good guys.
That is a shocking thing too, because Jordan Peterson said that all the people that are criticizing Nazis today and are claiming that there is an epidemic of Nazis, if they were born in Nazi Germany during that time frame, with the exact same kind of rhetoric that they're pushing, they would be a Nazi. They would sign up.
Absolutely, they would.
But it's all about social pressure and authority.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people. I mean, if you take the political scale and you've got the 4 quadrants of the political scale, and you have the right and the left and the bottom and the top, and at the very, very, very top is the authoritarians. Now, a lot of people think that. Especially the right, they think that the bad guys are the left, and the left thinks the bad guys are the right. But what's really going on is the bad guys for the left and the right are the authoritarians in the top. Those are the people that say, and it doesn't matter what they believe.
They're the people that tell you what to think.
Yeah, they're the people that say, these people need to think exactly what I think. They need to believe what I believe. And if they don't, they need to be legally forced to believe what I believe. And people think that Hitler was far right-wing. He wasn't. He was nearly a centrist.
I have a really bad piece of news for people on the left. Nazi, when broken down to its non-abbreviated version, nationalist, socialist.
Yeah.
National Socialist.
Well, that's what they were. They were the National Socialist Party. Which does not exist anymore. So when people say, well, you don't believe Nazis exist anymore, it's like, well, officially they don't. I mean, now if they say neo-Nazis, okay, that's a different thing. But real Nazis, they don't exist anymore. They can't exist anymore because they were a political party that just they're not in existence anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Is like if you're even if you had like a couple of Nazis still alive from World War II, they're over 100 years old. What power do they have over you? Why are you so afraid of them? Why give them power by fearing them?
Well, and
What, you're gonna feel like two fucking radical trolls on the internet or something?
I also wonder, this is probably going to be a terrible thing to say, and I'll own that if it is. But we had the Charlottesville thing, and people always, every time that somebody says there are really no Nazis in the country, or they'll tell Charlottesville. Okay, so we had 100 Nazis wandering around Charlottesville. The largest group of Nazis in the United States is 200 people. That's the largest.
How many Americans do we have?
Yeah, exactly. But here's
how many billions of Americans?
350. 350 million Americans.
Million, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If these idiots that came to Charlottesville and they were walking around with torches and signs that said white power and they're chanting bullshit like Jews will not replace us. Okay, what if they had just been allowed to do that? What if they had just been allowed to wander around Charlottesville in that little square and yell their shit and their stupid retarded crap?
Yeah. What if no one showed up to protest them? They just let them and they fizzled out and went home.
Yeah, they would have just gone home. They would have gone there. They would have waved their torches around, and then they would have gone home. But that's not what happened.
No one cares. I guess there's no point protesting, right?
Yeah.
Back it up, boys.
Back it up. Let's go back home. No one would have given a shit. But because there was opposition that showed up and started hassling them and giving them shit, and a woman was killed during this. Now, this is why we have this thing called, one of the reasons that we have this thing called free speech. It doesn't matter if you agree with what they're saying, but they have the right to say it. And I don't agree.
This speech wasn't what killed someone, it was the violence.
Yeah, it was the violence. I don't agree with what they had to say at all. I don't agree with what they were saying in Charlottesville, period, at all. But I have no intention of stopping them. Let them march around and preach their retarded shit. I don't care.
This is like the first time I've seen Nazis in like my entire lifespan. It's fascinating, if anything.
Yeah.
Like obviously I don't agree with it, but I think they're a joke. Like you said, there are 100 people. I'll concern myself when it's half the nation.
Yeah, it's not. There's.
Well, if according to the left it is. They're trying to proclaim that half the nation are Nazis.
Yeah, I know. Well, everybody's a Nazi. According to them, everybody who does not... If I talk to a leftist and I disagree with them about the weather, I'm a fucking Nazi. And the reason they do that is so that they can make an enemy so large they can't possibly fight it.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, wait, why am I not getting voters? What happened?
Yeah. Well, they want an enemy. They want an enemy so big that they have something to outrage about.
They want an easy target. Like, Nazis are indefensible, and that's why they call everyone a Nazi, is the easiest, lowest hanging fruit in human history.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you need to resort to that, you don't have a lot of confidence in your debate, like, your stances, do you?
No, if they were religious, they'd be calling him Satan.
Yep.
But they're not, so they're just calling him Nazis. I'm surprised they didn't call him, baby rapers. There's no way you can defend against that. So of course they're calling them the most indefensible possible thing they can think of, which is Nazis.
I'm just trying to think, like you said, what's even worse than a Nazi? A pedophilic, dog fucking Nazi.
No. Pedophilic dog fucking seal clubbing Nazi.
And they hate women. Which I believe I've been called all of those things in conjunction. A white supremacist Nazi, which is the same thing, I guess. Sexist, misogynist, transphobic, dog fucking,
female seal clubbing,
pedophilic. Yep. They love to wear fur, so it's a Nazi wearing fur. Their entire uniform is just fur.
But only females. They only club female seals.
And they club them before the age of 18.
Yes. and they voted for Trump.
Yeah, that's the cherry on top of the whole thing at the very end.
Yep, that's
They
it.
voted for the Republican Party. What a fucking monster. Ooh.
Oh,
That's a true Halloween spook right there.
oh boy.
All right, one last attempt at positivity.
Okay,
Right, let's change
one
the
more
subject
time.
This is
Let's
the
do
end.
this.
Yeah, all right. This is the final chapter. This is the last hitting round. All right, positivity. What played any games recently? Red Dead? No, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. You in the gaming scene? Movies you watched? Like Venom? How about that? I don't know.
I'm in the gaming scene. But I'm in the PC gaming scene. I don't have any consoles. But I did just recently play, and I don't know if you guys out there are classic gamers, but there is one game called Star Control, and this was on console a long time ago. It was also on PC, and it didn't age well. But after 23 years, and this game at the time was huge. Everybody loved it. After 23 years, someone bought the IP for Star Control, and now they've made a new Star Control game. And I gotta admit, I bought that, and I could not stop playing it. I was in that mode where if the house was on fire and somebody came, is the house on fire? No, I can't right now. I can't be bothered with this. I'm playing Star Control. It was really cool. That one,
I've had periods in my life where I don't eat shit or sleep to play video games. You can tell that you're really getting into something when it gets that bad.
Yeah. I'm now I know that Red Dead is going to come out for PC sometime later, so I can't play. I can't wait to play that. But for right now, it's only on console, so can't do it. But
yeah, I'm putting it off a little bit too because there's just such a flood of things to play during the Halloween season. Like everything's spooky this month.
Oh yeah, a lot of spooky things. That one is Scorn. Scorn is one I can't wait to play. That's
what I'd really love to see. I'd really love to see a Return of the Dead Space series. Have you played that?
Yeah. Oh, I played all of them. Yeah, that the Dead Space series was good. The number 3 really killed them. I think what they need to do is they need to go back to the classic 1 and 2 style of, the horror type of thing that was going on. They put this crafting thing in number 3 and this multiplayer in and
dodge rolling and leaning behind corners.
Yeah, leaning, but they kind of made it more.
Start
action.
off the game shooting people. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, they kind of made it more action than it was horror, and that I don't think they did a very good job with that. If somebody would buy that IP and actually bring it back to what it used to be, that would be amazing.
The story less became about escaping zombies and more about a cut triangle.
Yeah, it was
really
it was a little awkward for that series. Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff I'm looking forward to here pretty soon.
What would you say would be a night? Yeah, this is what I usually do for the very hot topic episodes of Cuckshack. What would be a message, you have all your adoring fans listening, what would you find would be a very nice exiting kind of quote that you could give them to kind of spearhead them to the next few days of being a furry and keep going and trucking on and all that shit?
Well, a lot of people say that you should just be who you are. But when they say that, what they really mean is that you should be who you are as long as I like who you are. I would like to say to everyone, no, just be who you are, no matter who likes it and who doesn't. Be who you are and do what you do and have confidence in that, and don't ever let the haters get you down.
I think that's a very mature outro. Alright, this was 2 Gryphon and 3 Jasonafex on Cuckshack. I hope you guys enjoyed our political episode. Hopefully we don't sound really stupid after the midterms. Alright. See you later, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. See ya. Bye.
Wow, what a surprisingly informative episode. Check out the links below if you want to write your brain on more Cuckshack.